Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the April 23rd, 2026 meeting of the Denton County Transportation Authority. We're glad to have y'all in attendance, and anyone that's watching, thank you for spending time with us today. At this time, I would like to welcome Paul Christina to lead us in our invocations. If you'll please stand.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for today and the opportunity to gather here together to do the work that you've called us to. We thank you for our board of directors and our staff and our stakeholders who all have interest and desire to do your will and to bring order and flourishing to our community. Pray that you'd be with us today as we gather, allow us to speak and hear with wisdom and discernment. In Jesus' name, amen.
Let's do our pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Texas pledge: honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Thank you, Paul, for that invocation. All right, do we have any special introductions of anyone that we need to acknowledge?
I'd like to welcome back Mr. Jim Coffey from the University of North Texas, their Director of Parking and Transportation. Welcome, Jim.
Hello, Jim. Good to see you. Old friend for many years. Thank you for being here. Do we have anyone registered for public comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll move forward. We do not. Thank you. Let's go to our consent agenda. Members, are there any items you'd like to pull off the consent agenda? Or do we have a motion to approve as presented?
Motion to approve as
We have
presented.
a motion. A second by Mayor Gilmore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Our consent agenda today consists of item 1, consider approval of the regular meeting minutes dated March 26, 2026. And item number 2 is consider approval of the monthly financial statement for February 2026. Okay, we'll proceed to our regular agenda, which is item number 1, discuss update on electronic security and access control project and digital passenger signage at the A-train stations. Good morning.
I'm Carl Hagler. I'm the Director of Information Technology and Cybersecurity, and today I'm going to give you a quick update on our electronic security and access control project and where we're at on it and what we, looking to do to finish it out. Back in July of 2024, this body approved a not to exceed expenditure of $5.7 million. And that was to do 2 phases of this project. One, to get our security and access control piece going. So that think of badge access to all of our buildings, unified control there, as long as security cameras and on our vehicle fleet and our land assets, our A-train stations and our buildings. The first component is that actual bigger part of the project, the electronic security access control. And that was awarded to a company called Preferred Technologies with the not to exceed of 5.1. And that, like I said, is the scope is more of the cameras and access control of the physical buildings. The component 2 that we're going to talk a little bit towards the end of my presentation is our digital passenger and A-train signage. So think of like next train arrival, something they call in the industry like a voice from God. So someone that can, if they're watching the platform, they can hit a button and speak to the platform and say, hey, like, severe weather's coming, whatever it may be, like there's some insight and visibility at our A-train stations. That's on where we're at with the electronic security access control project. This project kind of covered the 4 main facilities we have, the 5 A-train platforms. As of today, without the vehicles, we've installed over 21 miles of cable to get this done. 3.6 petabytes of video storage. One platform that's kind of taking all this data and information and giving it to a single pane of glass for a security operations center. So we can kind of see in real time what's happening, all the vehicles, land assets, et cetera. Just to kind of give you an update on where we're at on it, actually. So we're at 87% complete, physically like installed. That is all major phase 1 milestones hit the committed dates or are actually ahead of schedule. Right now we're finishing up the bus and the actual Stadler fleet of getting our vehicle, those cameras on there and get those federated into the system so we can see live what those vehicles are like there's issues happening on them. And then the project is actually under budget. We've had some change orders to bring our total cost down. So that's reflected here. Any questions on this before I kind of move forward?
Just a quick question on the technology. How easy or integrated is this with, say, our municipality law enforcement?
So Genetech is that kind of like a powerhouse when it comes to the law enforcement space. Think of anything like municipalities, for example, they're pretty much on this product. So yes, this does allow us to federate into like our local police departments, sheriff's offices, as long as, or as well as our city partners. So we can share our video footage. We can kind of give them little locations where if it makes sense, they need to see something, they have the ability to do that
Okay.
down the road. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Any others? Okay. A little bit of overview of our critical milestones on this project and kind of where we started and where we're at right now. So this started back in 2023 and we approved an AECOM assessment task order to come in and kind of say, what would this look like if DCTA decided to take on a big security access control program here? What would we need to do? Where would we need to cover? Like what assets are we looking to cover? What makes sense to make sure that we're covered if something happens, we have video footage, et cetera, right? So that happened in 2023. 2024 in July, like I mentioned, this body approved the contract with PrepTech. And then we started on the project from there. So we did in 2024, at the end, we started cabling the buildings. 2025, we started having our servers come online and starting able to see some of this product come in and start configuring it. From there, access control went live in the late spring, early summer of 2025. So all of our buildings had unified access control now. Beforehand, employees were having to juggle 2 to 3 key cards and depending on which building they're going to, and there wasn't really any unified access to kind of see what was going on. In June of 2025, we stood up and got our security operations center functional. And so that includes like a video wall, some computers and real-time telemetry coming in from all these cameras and other sensors we put out. I've got a picture of that coming up so we can kind of look at that. Back at late fall of last year, we finished kind of all the buildings. The buildings are kind of in their final state. There's a few little here and there's we need to fix up. So like changing some door hardware, things like that. But other than that, the buildings are pretty much finished up. And then right now where we're kind of sitting is we are finishing up the bus fleet. The majority of the bus fleet is completely done. We have some new vehicles on the way that we're kind of waiting on to install our equipment there. And then we are starting right now, the A-Train, the Stadler vehicles are getting this full Genetech system. So interior and exterior passenger security cameras, basically. A little bit of what we've kind of done in the past, I think, since you guys have seen an update on this. So a lot of this was discovery work of conduits at A-Train platforms, trying to figure out, do we have pathway to put where we need to do? We put new emergency call boxes. So we've augmented the 2 that existing we have and have upgraded those as well as added 2 additional ones. So the public has a little bit more, less space to travel between the ends of the platform to call for help if something like that happens. And these buttons, as soon as something's hit, it immediately fires a view of that camera in the security operations center and turns the microphone on. So like the operator there can actually see what's going on and immediately start communicating with that person. And then on the far right, this is the picture of the security operations center. So it's got 2 desk setups and a huge video wall where you can bring in the over like 700 cameras we're going to have at once. So a lot of this is workflow and automation based. So we can do what we call event to actions and things like that. So this person's not really having to sit there and look at 700 cameras. It's really just going to give them what they need in real time to look at. There's some edge analytics there. So we're going to look at maybe trying to use some of the cameras to do some counting of passengers, maybe at the platforms, things like that. But that's coming down the road. Any questions on this before I kind of move to some more pictures? And okay. Some more. So this is our A-Train rail OMF building. We put some cameras in the corners of the building, and these cameras we can actually see like a good mile down each direction of the right of way, so we can in real time make sure that the right of way there is protected. And then over on the far right gives you a little bit picture of what the software allows to do is drop blueprints in there, drop cameras in real time. So this person that's sitting in the security operations center doesn't need to be there, but they can easily click, I need to see the camera here. So it's really powerful. It's really just whatever you want to make it do, it will be able to do it. So a lot of the programming piece is going to happen once we finish up the physical installation of the vehicles. And so a lot more, I'd say workflow and automated responses will be programmed then. And then to talk about the phase 2 project that you guys authorized during the initial project. Digital passenger and signage at the A-Train platforms. So you guys approved a $5.1 million project with PrepTech. And the other portion of that money is set aside for a digital passenger signage at the A-Train platforms at all 5 locations. So think next train arrival, think the speakers and other things on the station. So like I said, we can make audible announcements, next train arriving, step back from the platform, severe weather, whatever it may be. We've got the ability to make automated and real-time announcements. We have a vendor that we're in talks right now. And we plan to bring this back to you guys next month for maybe approval. But the proposed amount is at $392,888. And this is on the TIPS co-op program, so it's pre-negotiated and procurement's pretty easy on that. Any questions on this before I move on?
Anyone?
Keep in mind, this is just a mock-up. We are going to work with our marketing team to make sure our branding guidelines are adhered to and everything. But this is something what you can expect when it comes to the information displayed. So next train arriving, like I said, north and southbound, the customer service phone number up there, maybe a security phone number, and then service alerts, rider alerts can be at the bottom in real time. And then also kind of identifying what station you're at and which side of the platform you're on to make sure that you're on the right side for the train coming. Feel free if you guys have any input here so we can kind of take back when we start designing what this looks like, if you guys have any thoughts on this.
Tyler, we will also be able to do advertising messages and things like that once that revenue stands up, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like we could also delegate the bottom portion of this if we wanted to in real time. So we can have both our information and advertisements, or if we have special events at the stations as well, we can put special event messaging out, things like that. So it's really flexible.
For me personally, this is a game changer.
Yep.
The ability to get on the platform and just know left or right. I don't have to go look at that spreadsheet that, I don't use transit enough to get the spreadsheet in my head. And so this makes so much difference. I think it really will improve our usability.
Yeah, excited for it. And I think it's going to help a lot with, utilizing a lot of these different modals we have of trying to provide passenger information. Let's take it out of their hands and let's just provide it to them in real time. So if you don't have a phone, if your phone's battery's dead, low, whatever, maybe you know exactly where you're going. So.
And I wanted to add that I'm really excited about it as well, because I'll look up the spreadsheet sometimes. I'll use the transit app or Google Maps or something like that to figure out when the timing is going to be on things. But if I'm on like the DART platforms, I'm looking to confirm for sure that that's when it's coming.
Absolutely.
So even though I have all this other data, it's nice to have that on the platform to confirm that I'm on the right platform, first of all, and second, this is actually how long I should expect. So I'm excited for this.
Awesome. And then just to kind of give a little bit of where the money lies right now. So like I mentioned, the 5.1 was authorized with PrepTech. It's authorized not to exceed. And then this digital passenger signage kind of lumps in with that. It brings us a little under $5.5 million. The original project was authorized for 5.7, leaving us a little bit over $270,000. And partially of that is going to be, I think we're going to use a little bit of that for a lot of the flagging we had to do on the railway when it came to installing this stuff on the stations themselves. We had to make sure we're following FRA mandates and all that. So a little bit of safety and things like that money is going to be used for, but we're still under budget and ahead of schedule. So that's kind of the main message here. Any questions and feedback I can take?
I think it looks great.
Thank you, Tyler.
Awesome. And we'll bring this proposal to you guys next month to kind of go over and hopefully, talk it through and get it approved. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
It's a great update.
No action.
All right. There's just an update. So next, let's go to item number 2, which is discuss an update on task order with AECom, an amount not to exceed $50,000 for the fleet transition plan.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Excited to bring to you all today an update we have on our current fleet plan and our proposed upcoming fleet transition plan. This is a discussion item, so no board action required today. Quick snapshot of the work we've been doing with our operations team on current fleet condition. So 64%, based on a study that AECom did last year, we came up with this data that essentially provided us the avenue to start near-term procurement of our diesel fleet. So these numbers just really magnify where we're currently at with our bus fleet. So 64% of our bus fleet is at or beyond useful life benchmark. Useful life benchmark is about 12 years on a diesel bus. By 2035, we project all vehicles will reach the end of their useful life benchmark without any replacement action. And then on our cutaway side of the vehicle fleet, 16 of those cutaway vehicles are all beyond useful life by about 4 years. Chart on the bottom just goes to show you the exponential growth of maintenance cost as the bus fleet ages. And as you can see, we're seeing those maintenance costs grow because of the age of our fleet currently. This is a slide that is a little bit was introduced to you all, I believe back in January, maybe last year, reformatted a little bit. But this is essentially our current fleet plan as it sits today. As you can see, it's a short-term fleet plan of about 5 to 6 years. High level, 15 new buses are entering service between in 27, we have a procurement wave that's landing, and then in 29. So the near-term solution is well on its way. 12 buses within the same time window will be disposed of. And then we have a plan to rebuild 9 of the 2006 Gilligs. This rebuild is where they're taking essentially all the components off the bus down to the frame, rebuilding it, and then sending it back to us. And then as you can see on the very bottom, usable fleet, our target is 28. That's 23 plus a spare ratio. So that 28 number is where we really want to sit to maintain our service operation. And as you can see, we have a plan for each one of those Gilligs and Eldorados over the span of the next 5 or so years. Some of them are being rebuilt, some of them are being retired, and then some of them are being repowered. And the repowered is where they're essentially repowering the engine, so we can extend that useful life by about 10 years. So building on the existing planning work we've done to date, so our work with AECOM has been sequential. Each piece has been built on the last. The fleet planning summary memo established our useful life benchmarks. As you'll see, we also incorporated ridership growth projections into that plan. This 5-year plan that we developed is going to provide us capital and procurement decisions moving forward. It's aligned with our ISP, and we've also made a nod to our long-range service plan as we grow into areas of Denton and potentially Louisville. The repower, rebuild, and replace framework gave us life cycle decision tree. Also, now that fleet transition plan is the next logical step in this effort. On the right, this is the evolution of what we've done and then what this new task order will be adding. Again, we've identified what vehicles to replace and when that needs to happen. The rebuild, repower, and replace framework has been developed. Near-term procurement timing within that 5-year window we've completed, and then we've aligned that with our service demands. Again, this task order is going to figure out how and when we transition with, looking at alternative fuels, if that makes sense. But beyond that 5-year timeframe, what are we looking at from a fleet standpoint? With that, once we investigate this alternative fuel strategy, that comes with infrastructure and facility requirements that may be required to be upgraded to support that transition strategy. We'll develop a roadmap, and then this also aligns with positioning ourselves to apply for grants that may be available for the new fleet. So what we know today, revenue fleet on the side, technology is changing, as you all are aware. Battery electric vehicle and fuel cell buses, currently they're 2 to 3 times the purchase premium over diesel is what we're seeing. Their life cycle advantage is not yet proven to date. And then the facility upgrades required for right now, what we're seeing is pretty substantial. not to mention the maintenance and any additional requirements for those types of buses. From a regional context perspective, the region has converged on CNG. Dart and Trinity Metro operate primarily CNG fleets. So what that means for us is there's already a regional fueling and maintenance ecosystem that's currently in place that we can tap into. And then having that in place, we feel lowers our transition risk whenever we make that move. On our non-revenue fleet, this is our relief vehicles and light duty vehicles that support our operation. You know, we're going to look at electrification on some of those vehicles and where it makes sense. We feel that this could be lower infrastructure cost to implement infrastructure there to support that. But that'll be done separately from the revenue buses, as we're not quite ready for that type of fleet on our revenue side. Capital costs, so both paths where we're looking at are going to carry upfront costs for infrastructure. Again, CNG, currently don't have CNG to our bus O&M facility, so we'll have to figure out what that looks like from a cost implementation standpoint. Battery electric vehicle for our non-rev fleet, again, charger infrastructure, what does that look like for maintenance? And all this has to be looped into our capital plan, our long-range financial plan. Funding landscape, I think there's opportunities here for federal funding. There's FTA low-no grants, 5339 facilities grants that support this type of infrastructure and implementation. There's also commercial incentives that we could look into as well. And then agency priority, financial case is going to be required. That's what we're going to be working on. Total cost of ownership, payback, grant offset. Note here, environmental, we feel is a benefit, but it's not going to be our primary driver for this initiative. So we're gonna look at what makes the most financial sense from an efficiency and cost perspective. So what is this task order going to do in a little bit more detail? It's going to deliver 6 products, objective alternative analysis of available fuel technologies out there today with a recommended approach, a phased transition strategy for transitioning those revenue and non-revenue vehicles from diesel or gasoline to other alternative fuels. We're also going to look at assessing the repower, rebuild, and replace options so we can understand for each fleet type we have, there is a plan for beyond 5 years. We're going to look at infrastructure assessments, looking what is going to be required to transition if we make that call. Those follow with cost estimates and timelines that's aligned with our fleet plan. And then planning integration into our, again, into our intermediate service plan, long range service plan, and life cycle for the fleet. So finally, just want to level set on what this task order is and what it is not. So planning document, evaluating fuel options objectively, looking for a tool that positions DCTA for grant opportunities into the future, continuation of the existing planning work that's been done, a phased implementation roadmap so we can decide at what time in the next 10 to 15 years the transition is most advantageous for us, and then aligned with our life cycle program and our long range financial plan. So what it's not going to do is it's not going to commit us to any type of alternative fuel. It's not going to authorize alternative fuels procurement or infrastructure construction at this point. It's not going to provide a mandate for any specific technology or fuel type. It's not going to change our capital plan, and it's not going to depart from our current diesel fleet plan that we have in place for now and beyond. So with that, that's the end of my briefing. I will say we plan to come back to you all probably in the late summer with an update on this of how it's going and what we're seeing, and an updated long range fleet plan developed. Happy to answer any questions. Mayor Gilmore.
Just more of a comment and where I'm interested, the non-revenue fleet. City of Louisville went through this study, gosh, maybe 10 years ago now. And you had a lot of staff that were like, well, I need a pickup truck. I need an SUV. And so we had a lot of fleet bloat. Whereas, a Nissan Leaf might have done the right job, which in our case it did. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there on the non-revenue fleet just to make sure that we're right sized. I get it. There's a comfort level. There's some of that stuff, but there's the right tool for the right job.
Yep, I agree.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
So is this effort a one-time effort that once it's done, we have a roadmap that we just continue to use over and over and over again?
That's the plan. Like I mentioned, we've got about a 5-year plan right now, so we can start replacing those diesel buses that are at the end of their useful life. This is going to extend that, so I suspect this plan is put into place, and when and where we need to update it, we can update it, but it's giving us a longer term outlook and aligning it with our financial plan.
And I got a second question. It's maybe more technical, but I'm just curious. When you talk about a repower, is that like putting in a new engine or replacing it?
Yeah, it's how I understand it, and Lisa's gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong. It's essentially replacing components of the diesel engine to repower it, so it gets the engine life about 10 more years of life on it.
And how often can a vehicle go through this repowering process? One time?
You only do it about once, right? Is that correct? Yeah, we do about once within the span of the life of the vehicle.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great job. All right, next is our informational reports. First one is safety service and ridership reports. You want to discuss these, Paul?
Just one comment to make on the safety report. We did make a correction to the incident frequency ratio on GoZone year to date is at about 0.34. It shows 0.66 in the packet that you got, but that was a month to date figure because we did have 2 incidents. And so we're tracking about the same as we did last year overall.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Do we need to take a vote to accept this?
No, sir, it's just
Okay,
information.
informational. All right, number 2 is update on unarmed uniformed security guard services request for proposals. Do we want to brief out on these or not? Just acknowledge them.
Just informational only.
Okay.
No,
Number
there's
3, our update on a request for proposals RP for audit services for fiscal year 2026 and 27. Any comments or questions?
Those both will be contracts that we bring back to the board to approve once the
Okay.
RFP process is done.
All right, our next regular meeting date, I want to state is May the 28th, 2026. Members, are there any items of community interest that you would like to discuss? Any announcements? All right, let's go to executive session. The board of directors will convene into a closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 personnel matters to deliberate the duties and evaluation of the chief executive officer, fiscal year 2026 mid-year performance evaluation. And there will be action as a result of the executive session, and the board of directors will also convene in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D, Section 551.0712, consultation with attorney to discuss and receive legal advice on the following item: the University of North Texas Interlocal Cooperation Agreement. All right, and it is 10:32. We're going to go into an executive session. Are we live? All right, it is 12:03. We have reconvened from executive session. There will be no action related to the personnel matters and no action related to the consultation with attorney regarding the legal advice related to UNT. Hearing no other business before the board, we are adjourned. Thank you.